Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Yay.
Hello.
Okay.
Happy Thursday. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Instagram.
Today is it's a
today?
Thursday. It's
Today?
our live. It's our weekly live.
It is our live, and welcome everybody. I see everyone's checking in. I see North Las Vegas, Nevada, from Dallas. Oh, Liz Dubois. I think she's our first question. Good morning,
Yeah.
Liz. How are you today? All right. Good morning, everyone. Today we're talking about pre-cuts on our show today, and our table is fulleth. So we have a lot of things today to share and show with you. So today's going to be an awesome visual day. I love these shows because we get to help educate and inform.
It's an inform.
It's an inform, yes. And so Dominic is going to help me with this today as my master guru, the boy who sews. Yeah.
I'm here to help. I will hold the fabric.
You will hold the fabric with the best of them. All right. Good morning, Dominic. How are you?
Good.
I know Thursdays are a great day because you get to come in here and be on a live with us as opposed to playing running cross country in this 100-degree heat we're having.
Yeah, the weather's not great.
It's okay. We're having an incredible heat wave here in St. Louis, but I mean that's the way the world works. All right. Shall we go to our questions?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So we're going to start as we start every show, and that's questions that have been submitted by you guys. So go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit a question. These are on the table. Dominic and I, we looked down at them before we sat down, but literally we are completely surprised. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so the first question is from Liz Dubois. Good morning, Liz, from Dallas. She is actually right there.
Yeah. Good
She's
morning
joining
from
us
Dallas,
on
she
YouTube.
says.
Yes. All right. So Liz says, in light of a number of the wide backing options being sold out for Under the Sea, so very sorry about that, guys. We literally cleaned out the closets at all of our manufacturers for that. So I'm sorry they are sold out. Can you discuss the ins and outs of selecting backing fabric, specifically picking a coordinating color? I know it comes down to personal pleasure, but I'm still learning and can use all the tips and pointers I can get. You discussed strategies for wide fabric versus piecing with standard width fabrics this past week, and that was very helpful. Oh, thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. I'm probably overthinking it. Also, good or bad idea to use non-batik backing on a batik top? Okay, so let's take this a little bit at a time. So, right.
Let's break it down.
So let's break it down. We're going to break it down for everybody. Okay, so I think the purest, probably most traditional way to think about backing your quilt is to use fabrics that are also used on the front. And so I think this comes from just an ease of access and a continuity. You know, you've got your quilt and you want to use the same prints on the front or the back. That way you don't get a little differences with the teals, right?
Yeah, it's the same. There's no differences between the materials that you use on the front and the back.
Exactly. So it's all the same shade of teal. It's all the same Allison Glass cheddar. Right, so if you use the same fabric from the same collection on the front and back, that's one way to go. Then there's the, you can't get that fabric anymore, and so you do something that's close enough, right? It's the back of your quilt. Really, I mean, if it's on a bed, the back faces the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
How often are you going to see it? Maybe when you flip it back, right? It might be there. Yeah. And if you're cuddling within a couch, you might see the back every now and then. Mm-hmm. And so I think, if you're in a close enough category because you can't get the exact collection, it's really still okay. Then you can take the back as a second quilt category, and you can just come up with something wild, something that is kind of cohesive with the front, but really is not meant to connect to the front at all. Mm-hmm. That is on you if you want to get crazy with it.
Related things.
Yes, Dominic says it very well. Different but related. I've had quilts that have had multiple colors on the front, and I found a backing that had multiple colors, and I was like, that's it. It's going to be crazy in the front and crazy on the back, right?
For the
It
back.
Can't be a mullet. It can't be business on front and party in the back.
For the back of the 2020, went to a rock concert and vomited on my quilt.
Yes.
You didn't use a back, you used mink, right?
Yes. So we're going to put a pin in Minky. Listen to this kid throwing out Minky as a quilt back option. Yeah. Holy cow. Okay. So there's the we're just going to coordinate it. Then it gets to we want to do something alternate substrate. So we don't necessarily have to have quilting cotton. And so to Dominic's point, you can use Minky, you can use flannel, you can use fleece, you can use really anything, satin. You can do whatever you want on the back. It's just a matter of challenges with quilting. And so we've talked about that on other shows. So once you start getting into these other materials, you got it based, you got to make sure your long armor can handle it, all that stuff, right? Once you get into these alternate materials, it becomes more challenging. But the Minky quilts in our house are what?
Minky is great.
It is. They are always the first quilts used. Then we're going to talk about Janice's section. And so Janice says she pieces the leftovers from the front and adds whatever to it. So one of my favorite quilts that I've made was a Lone Star. It was a purple Lone Star. We use it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and I had a ton of scraps left over, and I wanted to use them because they were so cohesive from the front to the back, and I didn't know if I'd ever want to make another project with those fabrics. So I pieced a backing to it, and I had a pieced front and a back. Now that's the crazy way. Like you're piecing your front and you're piecing your back. Yes, I've done it, and it worked, and the fabrics look great, and the front looks like the back. But that's the like you're making two quilts and stitching them together way. It depends on how close you want to be done with this project. Now, the piece that Liz is talking about here, and I want to see what you guys think. What are your impressions about having a batik on the front and a batik on the back? And so, like, are there? I'm sure there's pure play batik enthusiasts that you have to have batik on the front and batik on the back. What do you think? Like batik on the front, does it have to be a batik on the back, or can it be a cotton?
I don't think it has to be a batik. I think you kind of want a cotton, because if the batik is going to be like top and you want it to be like a comfort quilt, then having a softer material on the bottom does help.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, the batik
is a rougher material.
It is, but it does soften after multiple washes, right? And so, like, your dad has a quilt at home that has a batik on the front and a minky on the back. He loves it. I don't know. I think it also, if you have a batik on the front and a batik on the back, then you're also getting into a weight of the quilt. And so I know we had a question last week about making a quilt for someone who's really tall to be snuggly. If you want something snuggly, batiks have a higher thread count, so they might retain warmth a little bit, but it's also going to be a lighter weight quilt because batik is in general lighter weight than a cotton, even though it has more thread count, right? So I think all those come into play. I mean, ultimately, Liz, it is your quilt. You get to make those decisions. And it really, I mean, then you want to throw in binding into there. And then the binding is on the front and the back of the quilt. And so you want to pick a binding that's going to work with the top and the back. It can contrast. Let's see here. So Tisha is saying, she says it doesn't matter to her. She does sometimes mixes batiks and cotton. It still comes out wonderful. I agree. I think it's more just, it's art, it's creative, and whatever you decide is what it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Josie B is asking a question. If you make the small puzzle mystery quilt with no extra borders, will you still need 2 yards of wide, or can 1 yard be good? So since the PMQ finishes at 48 by 60, you are going to need more than 1 yard. 1 yard would be 36 inches. You would have to piece it if you wanted to just get a 1 yard of a wide back, which kind of defeats the purpose of the wide back, which is why we set our small backing kits to be 2 yards, because you would need to make it all the way. Crystal's saying good morning to you. Everyone's saying good morning to you. Good morning. You get more good mornings than I do these days. I don't know what's going on. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Stacy is saying she likes to have soft and comfy on the back, and she tends to use flannel on most of her projects. Yes.
Flannel is comfortable.
I mean, we can go ahead and throw this out there, right? When I was younger and I was quilting and sewing, we didn't have a lot of money for like a lot of quilting cotton on the back. And so we would get sheets. And I know that's super controversial to use like sheets that you would get at a store. So flannel sheets, fleece, you would get sheets and you would put them on the back of your quilts, and that works. And that's the way a lot of people did it throughout history as well. Let's see here. Erin is saying she likes the look of a pieced back versus a solid back. It adds more character, even if it's just stripes and squares. Yes, and I think, Erin, that's also a fantastic, I've on the back of a quilt, I've done kind of large block pieces where if I have like a 1/4 yard or a fat quarter or something left over, I'll just sew that 1/4 yard right there. Like, it doesn't need to be pieced like the front. It could literally be, here's a fat quarter of this fabric, I have a fat 8 of this, I have some strips of this. You can piece it together very intentionally, accidentally, and make it something that's very cool and modern.
Thank you, Jana.
Jana
that's
says
nice.
You're the star guest.
Yay.
Jana also thinks we have the best reality show. Yes.
So, well, it is a fact.
It is a fact. Okay. All right. So, Josie, thank you so much. I hope that answered your question. Liz, I hope that answered your question too. Hopefully that's enough to make you dangerous. I think a lot of
people's questions answered there.
Yes. I know. Good work. All right. Next question for us is Jackie from Fresno, California. Do you keep a journal or log of your quilts? If so, what do you include, and why should I start one? What do you think?
For like why they should start one?
Yeah. Well, why do you keep a journal or a log of your quilts?
No, I don't. No.
I would say I aspire to keep a log or a journal.
I'm in that boat.
Yes, I aspire to keep a log. I would say for me, I definitely have a list, and mind you, it's probably out of date of in-process projects, right? So and I've created, again, in my, like, it's out of date, but I have a, like, in bin 1, I know it's these 2 quilts, and in bin 2, I know it's these. So I have kind of a categorization of in-process quilts, but I have never created a log of my finished quilts. And so I think that's one of those things that
they just get used.
They get gifted and they get used. I mean, I can remember them, or most of them, and I definitely from a cataloging of my quilts, I definitely take photos of every one I've ever made or gifted. I keep the photos, and I keep the digital photos.
So I guess you could include that as that could be your journal if it's the pictures of the quilt. So you could include pictures of the quilts in your journal if you wanted to do that.
Yep, I think it's something that it's you can create an album of them with your finished quilts and the process you use to make. I know we have, and I looked I don't know, a couple days ago. So we still have a plan to quilt book on the website. So this is something that we had with Ava's Bakery, that it has like a plan to quilt to plan book, and it talks about actually planning all your quilts and getting them and all the yardage needed and then actually making them. And so if that's the kind of journal you're interested in, Jackie, perhaps that could be of use to you. I think I'm reading some of the comments here. Let's see here. Catherine says she always do sheets. I think in the beginning, I think sheets are kind of the way to go. And then coverlets and duvet covers, all of those things work really well. It depends on how many finances you have, and you don't want your finances to be able to prohibit you from doing something you enjoy. So I think I will readily admit I use sheets on a lot of my early quilts. My mom keeps a journal with photos of her projects and notes who she made it for, pattern information. Then she can remember everything that she's made. I think, Erin, that is beautiful. That is super aspirational. I think in my world, for me, once I make a pattern, I don't know if I'm keen to go back to it. Like, if you've made a pattern, would you make it again?
No, because you already have a quilt. I mean, I guess if you change like the colors and fabrics. Sorry, I just said something in my eye.
You had something in your eye.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Maybe if you changed the colors enough, but I don't know. You've already made one like that, and I don't think it would be as exciting as if you made it again.
Yeah. So I'm seeing on Instagram, the Blue Bee is saying, I think it's super important to journal for documentation. Include pattern, designer, the fabric used, start and finish date, plus the receiver of the quilt. Then why did you make it? I think that's fantastic. It's the story, and it's for future generations. And so I think that's also a good, like, it's good to have the history.
You write the story.
Because it does take me, like, I have to think, like, oh, when did I make that quilt? I have it, I don't know when, right? And I think that would be fantastic. Don Warfield is saying, has anyone used their back material folded from the back to make the binding strip? So I know a lot of people have done that. I've done that before. You cut your backing and you actually fold it over and under to make your binding. That's a super common. There's tons of YouTube tips out there, Don, if you've done that. That is becoming a popular way to not have to have a binding strip, and then also being able to finish your quilts. All right. Let's keep going. Michelle has a notebook with notes, and so learning so much, written and drawing ideas. I think especially early on, I would love it just for the, like, in 5 years to go back and see what I was making 5 years ago, to see what was popular, what was trendy, and also how much I've grown and how much I've learned over time.
Yeah.
And Upchurch.
You do it so you can look back and see how far you've come.
Yeah, and Upchurch is saying that she's made 8 to 10 carpenter star quilts. And you must post a photo of this. I need to see these quilts. But 8 to 10.
We need all of that.
We need all photos. I think it'd be fantastic to share that. I think it's also, there's some comfort in if you're making, I know sometimes people, for their children, they don't want children to feel more loved than another. So they will use the same pattern for all the kids. That's also a fantastic way to make sure your kids all feel loved. Let's see here. Crystal says her list has gotten too large to try cataloging. I feel that, Crystal, deep in my soul.
Just so more.
Deep in my soul. Okay, let's jump into, so if you have questions for us next week, Dominic should be with me next week. Go to cottoncuts.com/live, ask us questions. This little goober
should be here all summer.
You should be here all summer, provided when we're in New Orleans on retreat, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
Yes. So Dominic will be here. If you've got questions for either one of us, please pop them into cottoncuts.com/live. Stay to the end of the show. We're going to be giving away a $25 gift certificate to our shop by asking this one's an easy, simple question. Yes. All right. So what's happening in the shop? So I can tell you right now, if you guys hear any outside sounds, it's because our water is being delivered in the shop. We have been out of water for a couple weeks in the hottest weeks of the year. So if you hear any sounds or any banging, it'll be okay. So that's happening right now. That's fantastic. We are working on our 5.0 kits. These guys are almost done. I am so excited. Mystery 5.0 opens for sign up when? It tells you right here.
Yes.
It tells you right here.
July 1st.
Which is next Tuesday,
It's
7
was I
a.m.
supposed to know this?
It's in your script, bro. Did you not study the script before the show?
I didn't rigorously study it. It was like a skim.
Interns these days, people. Interns these days. Okay. Michelle wants to have.
And you were so much better.
Yes. Okay. So July 1st. And so we have a new FAQ page. So for you guys that are checking out the website and you have questions, if you didn't get a chance to catch the live, we tried to synthesize it all into the FAQ page, so it's as simple as possible. But they go on sale next week on Tuesday, and I bet you by the end of the day they will be gone. So if there's a colorway you like, definitely make sure to get on that. And there's over 1,000 pieces in each kit. Paul wants me to make sure I say that every time. Over 1,000 pre-cut pieces in our kits.
We're cutting, and you guys aren't.
Yes, which we are cutting. Which, no, to be clear, we have cut. We are done cutting. Okay, and
got that one out of the way.
Today we're scrap dashing. So what you guys can't see behind the camera is we've taken all the scraps left over from all of our die cuts, and we are making fresh snippet bags. So if you guys are a snippet member, you're going to get fresh bags with all new fun fabrics.
Yay!
All right, so let's see here. Pat Vizino is saying water's being delivered by God. So that must mean it's raining at her house.
It's raining.
Yes, it is definitely raining at your house. All right.
I got it to stand up.
All right, and so we are also starting to cut Under the Sea. And so Under the Sea is our big July project for us here in the shop. It is actually laid out on the table now. It is what the team is going to start working on just as soon as we are done with 5.0, and we are going to start getting the tracker up and running so you guys can see that. I know you guys loved the tracker last time, so you can kind of see where your colorway is in the process. Do you know what the tracker is?
No.
Oh, this is why I have Dominic on the show with me. So what we did...
I was in school.
You were in school.
Learning.
So for Flyaway, and we're going to do it again for Under the Sea, is we break down the major steps in the process to make the quilt, and we have your little icon of what you're cutting.
Oh, so it's like the Amazon shipping thing.
It is a little like Amazon shipping, but it sits on the website and it tells you exactly where in the process your colorway is.
And then it
so moves, and then it moves, and then we know when they're done and we know when they're shipped, so people know when to expect their prepaid clues to come. Okay. Coming in July. So we've already talked about Under the Sea. You guys, Clue 1 and the whole quilts are shipping July 25th. July is a short month, so our team is moving faster. We're going to do late days. We're going to do weekends. We're going to get it all out by the 25th. And don't forget, if you prepay, you have to get your order in before the first Clue ships on July 25th because we cut off prepays at that time, and then it's just month to month. Crystal's struggling with something. Okay.
Yes.
Struggling between getting another Under the Sea or NOLA retreat kit. Kim, which do you think is more awesome? So the answer is both, and the answer will always be both. Crystal, I think the NOLA retreat kits are, that's coming. We're going to talk about the retreats here. The retreat kits are awesome. It is a great design, but so is Under the Sea. Like, I'm sewing Under the Sea. This is one of these ones I saw the design. I saw a colorway. I am going to sew Under the Sea. So I think they're both awesome.
Okay, you have to actually give an answer.
Why don't we say there's no wrong answer?
Hold on. Rock, paper, scissors for it.
Okay, so I will be Under the Sea, and you'll be NOLA retreat. Okay, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, okay. So based upon our highly scientific method, Crystal, the NOLA retreat is the way to go.
Yes.
Okay. So coming in July, we also have Tim Holtz Blue. We will show you guys samples of what the Tim Holtz Blue looks like. I am seeing a lot of your guys' teal. It looks super fantastic. Love this project. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
We are over halfway. It's great. Oh, wait, we got the July Javas. Okay, so these are what the July Java batik bundles are. What is a Java? You know what this is.
It's stars.
What?
No, it's triangles.
What is a Java?
It's coffee. No, I'm kidding. It's,
oh my goodness gracious.
It's
made
in a special kind of place, right?
Okay, so Java is the name of our batik membership where you get 12 coordinated fat quarters each month. A batik is actually made on an island called Java, which is why we called these bundles Java.
I did say there was an island.
There is an island involved where these are actually made. And so this is our Independence Day. So these are intended to be kind of alternate red, white, and blues. It's not a traditional pure play like Pantone red, white, and blue, but it's definitely, it could be a patriotic quilt, but it could also be.
It's a darker tone.
It is a more saturated jewel. We love our Javas. Those are going to ship on July 10th. All right, what else? Oh, Under the Sea. So as we're talking about that, as we were rock, paper, scissoring, Davy Jones's locker has sold out. So while we've been talking about all this Mystery 5.0 stuff, Davy Jones' locker, gone. Can't get any more.
And
Just got,
Shipwrecked is running low, right? It's
Yes.
set to be sold out today.
Yes, Shipwrecked will be sold out today. So
Get
if you're on the
Shipwrecked.
fence about Shipwrecked, you need to go get it. These things, you know, we've been working with the manufacturers. We can't get any more of either one of those fabrics, so they are sold out. And let's see here, the fabrics coming on social media. Paula does a great job on all that. So you'll see lots of photos, lots of things going on.
What else?
Okay, so Dominic and I talked about this. We went to Indianapolis and New Orleans, and so we did a shop hop. Yes?
Yeah.
You and I visited a whole bunch of shop hops.
Many states.
It was many states. It was many places. We
Two.
actually had a lot of fun. And so, you know, fabric is expensive. So we unfortunately did not buy a lot of fabric, but we did get some patterns. But I want to share with you like the single coolest thing we found.
Yeah, it was in Indianapolis.
This is in Indianapolis. And so go ahead and show all the people. Show both. Okay, so this is a company and it's called, here, let's take a look. It is called Bluebird Buttons. And so this company 3D prints buttons. And they had a whole display at this quilt shop.
It was really cool. Aren't they like in Michigan or Minnesota?
Yes.
One of those
So
MI states up north.
MI states. This kid. It is made in Michigan. And so it is bluebirdmakery.com. And so they 3D print buttons, which is fantastic. Because in a world that's without Joann's, that's where I used to get all my buttons whenever I would need a button. And I'm like, I need cool, creative places to get buttons from because
How dare Joann's go
oh my gosh, that's a separate topic for another day. Okay, so yes, so these were fantastic. I thought of all the things we saw.
They
and
were
heard,
really
yes,
cool.
Yes, we got a couple patterns. We got a couple projects that we're going to work on this summer, and we'll be showing you guys. But I wanted to definitely share this Bluebird buttons. This is fantastic.
Ooh, question.
All right, question.
Lori
So Lori Kale is
Kale.
Yes, is asking. She signed up to pay monthly.
Kale.
Can she switch to prepaid? You most definitely can. Go ahead and send us an email to help@cottoncuts, and the awesome customer care team will get you all set up. Jana's asking if she's going to see Rosa buttons in the future. Yeah, this is. Stay tuned. More to come. All right. All right, and so so we had a fun time in New Orleans too. Yeah. And so we are going back in a month for our first New Orleans retreat. We are getting super excited about this.
Everyone get excited! Cheer, cheer, cheer!
We have a special mystery that's going to be a super immersive experience. We've got lots of surprises planned for that. We have a shop hop with a scavenger hunt. We've got fun stuff coming. Oh, and Paula is like, psst, the food. So because we're going to New Orleans, do we like New Orleans food?
Yes.
We love New Orleans food. And so Paula and Jason have picked out quite the menu. And so we're trying to go extra with food because I know we've been to a lot of retreats where it's like hotel-y food. This is extra. It is awesome.
There's like lots of stuff.
It's good food. All right, Lori is saying it's kale, like kale, like the green. I like it. All right, thank you, Lori. I appreciate that clarification.
Leafy greens.
Leafy greens. Go leafy greens. All right, now we're ready to finally turn to our main topic. Our main topic.
Precuts.
Precuts. Okay.
Yay.
So this is something that, precuts are things we talk a lot about here in Cotton Cuts. And that word is actually an umbrella for a huge category of fabric. And so what we want to do is we want to give you guys enough information to make you dangerous, to make you a more informed consumer. So when you go into your quilt shop, when you're shopping online, you can ask a few more questions about this category. I know for me, as a beginning quilter,
wait.
What's that?
I am going to the NOLA retreat.
Yes, Dominic is going to be in New Orleans.
And the button company was Bluebird Buttons.
And it's bluebirdmakery.com, Stephanie. Okay. So we want to give you enough information to be dangerous. I know when I was first starting out, buying yards of fabric is easy. But when you get to the pre-cuts, they get expensive, right? And it's a little daunting. How does that feel? Like if you were to see this on a shelf and it had a really big price tag on it, how would you, it's daunting, right? It's a commitment at this point.
Scary wheel of cheese.
It's a scary wheel of cheese. This kid, I swear. So this is something that we want to give you enough information to demystify what you're seeing and also give you enough information because there's a lot of variability in this space. And I don't want you to make unfair assumptions that that will lead you down a bad path. And so let's see. So a pre-cut is basically just fabric that's, I will call it, not sold on a bolt.
Yeah, it's
not sold on a bolt. That's pretty much its most generic definition. That's not sold by the yard on a bolt.
It's cut beforehand.
Yes. All right. And so in theory, the reason why companies do this is because you can get smaller units of a collection. So rather than going into a quilt shop and buying a yard of all 20 prints in a collection, you can get all of them in a smaller bite-sized pieces. And it's in theory, it's easier to do that than to buy a yard of 20 prints. It comes in a common shape that can be easily sewn together, and you can make a lot of creative things with it. So really, that's the primary purpose that companies do this, is they want to be able to give you a little bit of an entire collection without having to buy the whole thing. Lonnie is asking about the red, white, and blue bundle. So this is part of our Java membership for the next month of July.
RWB was?
Red, white, and blue?
Yeah.
Red, white, and blue.
Just get the Java membership.
There you go. Or you can also do a one-time Java. So Lonnie, if you don't want to sign up for multiple months, you can do a one-time Java, and we will send you just the July Java box. That is on our website as well. Or you can do platinum. little birdie Paula is reminding me about platinum. You can do platinum.
When is Paula gonna go on a video?
Right, I know. That's a different topic for a different day. All right, so let's start first with talking about some of the most common pre-cuts that you're going to find in a quilt shop. And I want to be clear, when we use names like Jelly Roll, Layer Cake, Charm Pack, so those are names.
Not desserts. They're not desserts.
They're not desserts, as we were talking about this morning. But those names right there that I just used, Jelly Roll, Layer Cake, and Charm Pack, are actually trademarks of Moda. So when you're using those names, they are only ever going to be seen on a label for Moda products, because Moda owns that trademark.
I didn't know that was trademarked.
Yes, it is actually trademarked.
Wow.
And so I know that leads to a lot of confusion, because a lot of people will be like, hey, this is a jelly roll. And what happens is when you get in there, they use other names for it. And so we'll start first with the jelly rolls, because those are the best. You'll see a strip pack. And so that's more commonly used because every other company has to call it a strip pack. They cannot call it a jelly roll. And so Dominic has an example of some jelly rolls that he's going to show you guys. What does it say?
It says
there's a lot of glare on that. Let's tilt it down, right? So
strip roll.
Strip roll. A strip
pack,
pack
or my
or a strip roll.
Pointer finger.
Right? And so the reason why they have to do that is because Moda decided that they were going to claim strip pack, and they were going to claim jelly roll. And so what's also happened when Moda did that is now companies, there's no standardization for what a jelly roll is, right? Any company can put a whole bunch of 2.5-inch strips in a roll, and they call it a jelly roll or a strip pack. And so it's most commonly a 2.5-inch strip that is every print in a collection, which can range between 38 and 42 pieces.
Yeah.
But as you're going to see, we're going to show you 4 different jelly rolls, and they're all 2.5-inch strips, but they all have different quantities in them. So the first one is this batik one.
It's the one I used for the example.
It's the one he used for the example. I love this one. And so this one is actually a Henry glass, which I don't typically think of as having batiks, but I saw this collection and I loved that it was very rainbow bright in colors. And this one has 40 strips in it. And so one of my key messages as we go through all this is you got to read the labels. I feel like this is, you got to read clothing to know how to wash it. You have to read the labels when you're getting pre-cuts to know how much you're getting. And then you have to match it to whatever pattern you're using it with, because some of them will say jelly roll. A lot of pattern designers will say jelly roll because that's easy to understand, but they're going to assume that it has 42 pieces in it, in which case this one will work most of the way. And when I have used,
you're going to fall short.
Yes, when I have used pre-cuts, I've gotten most of the way. And so if that's great for you, if you're good getting most of the way, then definitely use it. Like, this is fantastic because this is going to save me a lot of time in cutting. I can tell you for Mystery 5.0, jelly rolls are being recommended. You're not going to need all of them, and it's going to be complicated. And so when it comes down to this, you have to read your label. Paula is sending me a note. Is it 40 different pieces? That is a fantastic question.
It said 40 on the label.
Yes. But so here's the deal though, right? And so this gets into you have to look at it and you have to read the label. Most commonly with a jelly roll, it is 2 of a print. So you're going to get 40 strips of 20 different prints. And so you're getting 2 of each one. So that's definitely something. Got to read those labels. And
isn't there like a strip wraparound? Is maybe that
it's just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. So that's what this one is. Then this one is by QT Fabrics. And so this was given to us.
Quick Trip?
Not Quick Trip. QT. It's actually Quilted Treasures is what it stands for. And so this one is 42 strips is here. Where to pray tell is the magic capital?
Fabric magician Annette said hello from the magic capital.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was like, what did I miss? Is there something?
Yeah, you missed
is
that
there
part,
something
like
the kids? Is there something the kids are doing on TikTok that I need to know about? Okay. So this is from QT. So this is 42 strips here. And so with this one, you can also take a look at it. This is, and it looks like it is actually one of each print. Because it is from a basics collection, it is one of each print and there are no repeats. And so this can definitely be used for a jelly roll project. But again, you got to make sure that the pattern, if the pattern assumes that you're getting 2 of each strip, you need a jelly roll that has 2 of each strip, or accept that it's going to be just a little different because there, again, there's no standardization here. Then we have this one from Riley Blake. And so we probably should have taken this one out of the package. It's okay. I think we're going to use this one for a giveaway. This is a cute little Halloween print. And so again, this one we gotta open it up because we gotta get to the we gotta read the labels, right? That's kind of the lesson here.
The Magic Capital is in Michigan.
The Magic Capital is in Michigan.
I thought that was like Orlando or something because of like
the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah,
that's the Magic Kingdom. That's not the Magic Capital.
Well, no, it has like Disney. It's the most magical place on earth.
Okay,
according to their marketing.
So this one says it is called a roly-poly. It is not a strip pack and it is not a jelly roll. It's called a roly-poly and it has 40 pieces in it.
It's a jelly roll.
It's a jelly roll. It's a jelly roll. And then we come to this one. And so this is what we commonly
that's
see.
Not a roll.
I know it's not a roll, but it is still, it's a 2.5-inch strip pack. So it is like a jelly roll, but it's a little different. And so this one's from Island Boutique and it says 2.5-inch strips, 40 pieces. And so this one is super helpful. I'm going to show you guys how helpful it is. So it says 2.5-inch strips, 40 pieces, 20 fabric designs. So what does that tell you? It is 2
pieces of
each design. So it tells me that. Yes. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so that is our first one. That's the jelly roll. That one's one. There's a lot of patterns for jelly rolls because they're strips. There's jelly roll races. There's a jelly roll day. Jelly rolls have a lot of stuff about it. The junior rolls, yes, Gianna, that is something that have half the strips, and I think that gets to cost. And I also think that's getting to the fact that manufacturers are no longer releasing collections that have 40 prints in them. The collections that are coming out now are smaller. And so because of that, they need to actually make them smaller. Amy Brazel says she loves unrolling jelly rolls.
Is this an unrolled jelly roll then?
It is kind of an unroll. It's kind of an unrolled jelly roll. Now, I would say, Amy, if you go to
I feel that, Erin.
Amy, if you go to Free Spirit, they actually have videos of it is manually rolled. These jelly rolls are done by people. They are laid out and they are rolled, and it is expertly done. Free Spirit has some live videos they did a couple years ago. Let's see here. Erin, yes, clearly, like this lives in my house. You don't unroll them.
Yeah, if you do, you ruin it.
Yes, and so Crystal is saying that if you're looking at this and all of a sudden you're like, gosh, this jelly roll is so much cheaper than this other jelly roll, make sure you're looking at it to make sure it's not a mini roly-poly, a mini strip pack. Make sure it has all the strips you want in it. Okay, enough on jelly rolls?
Enough.
All right, layer cakes. So layer cake is the one we don't actually have a sample of. Like, I don't have layer cakes. No one in our shop has layer cakes. We don't buy layer cakes. But what a layer cake is it's relatively big. It's 10 inches by 10 inches. And again, it is squares that are cut of a single collection, and they are, like everything, going to have variable quantity. The only thing that's going to be uniform with your layer cake is that it's 10 inches by 10 inches. You have to check those labels. Now, for those 10 inch by 10 inches, they're great for big block quilting. Let's see here. Stacy Moeller loves the 10-inch squares. I would be interested to know, Stacy, what you use your 10-inch squares for. I frankly have struggled with, they're more expensive. I think they're probably the most expensive of all the pre-cuts we're looking at. But I also struggle with what I am making with them. But I know that Jenny Doan at Missouri Star had a moment where the disappearing 9-patch quilt using a layer cake was all over there. How many disappearing 9-patches did we see? We saw a ton. People around us were making that disappearing 9-patch with the layer cakes like nobody's business. And then there's also a lot of Fat Quarter Shop has some paper piecing that you can lay on top of a layer cake, and you stitch, cut, and all of a sudden you've got this amazing quilt.
Yeah.
You just stitch, and you just cut. Pretty much all that we do, right? Just all that. Let's see here. Erin says her layer cakes live on a shelf with her unrolled jelly rolls. Lots of patterns. Have yet to make one. And so, Erin, we're going to end talking about organization, and I would love your contribution at that point and how you store all these lovely pre-cuts. Okay, let's see here. Then we get to charm packs. So this is my favorite of all the pre-cuts. I love me some layer cakes.
Hexagonal.
So hold on, don't talk about those yet. Those are super special layer cakes.
But
those are special. We can't talk about those.
So we do have layer cakes.
Well, no. Let me don't. Don't listen to the kid. He's getting ahead. So these are charm packs. Okay, so I love me a charm pack. I have the most charm packs. I get these on sale. Charm packs are my absolute favorite. Like everything, you have to check the back. These are a little bit more standard in that it's usually the 42 pieces, but you have to check the back because I know this one right here is 27. Right, so this little guy right here is only 27 pieces. Yet when you put it on a shelf and lay it next to everything, it looks the exact same. And so this little guy right here is only 27 pieces. The uniform thing about the charm pack is it's all 5-inch squares. They're all 5-inch squares. Now, in this case, the manufacturers used to do fun things like this. They used to make hexagons that were, this is 39 pieces. Again, why is it 39 pieces? Right? It's 39 pieces. Like you couldn't have added one more fabric and made it 40. This is 46. Like why? Why people? Why? Okay, but it's a fun shape. And so with this shape, right?
It's divisible by, no, that number is.
No, it's not divisible. 46 is not divisible by 3. You know that. Okay, so right. So they give you these fun, also they look like charm packs. They're packaged like charm packs, but these fun shapes, these can be used to sew together into foundation paper piecing, English paper piecing. You can definitely use these in projects as well. Now, why do I like charm packs? I love charm packs because they're relatively affordable, and I feel like I get a sampling of the entire collection in a smaller price point, but I also can make that quick baby quilt like super fast. Right? So if someone calls me today and is like, hey, I've got a friend, can you make me a baby quilt? Done. Like I've stitched them together. You just make them. I mean, with 42, you go 6x7, bam, you got a baby quilt. Right? If I'm super bored with that and I want to do something different, I will stitch them together on the diagonal, cut them. Man, I have half square triangles and away I go. And so charm packs are my favorite of all the pre-cuts. Let's see here. Melissa Fieldhouse is writing. Everyone hit the thumbs up.
Yeah, do
the
that.
hexagon shapes. Yeah, these were fun. Free Spirit had a press that they've decommissioned that used to make these. So they used to do a ton of the hexagon shapes. I don't know how many more you can find anymore. Let's see here. 10-inch squares are helpful. Yeah, so Stacy Moeller has also fantastic suggestions. Is that she's making a quilt and she has to have a lot of different colors and a lot of different shapes. And a jelly roll, a pre-cut, a layer cake, those are fast ways to get to that fabric without you having to go and buy a lot of different prints. Plus, you know, they're coordinated as well. So that's always the hard part for me is I need to get 20 fabrics and I go to the quilt shop and I have to pick 20 fabrics from 20 different manufacturers and it's chaos. This simplifies some of the chaos. Let's see here. Elmi is saying on Instagram, layer cakes are easy to subcut into 5-inch charm squares or 2.5-inch squares. Absolutely true. Yes, you can definitely subcut them down. It's easier than a fat quarter. It's easier than a half yard if you've already cut like that. You can also stitch them along the straights and along the diagonals, and all of a sudden you've got a lot of smaller pieces in a very quick fashion too, right? It's very cool. Now, one of the things that, we'll talk about mini charms too.
Yeah.
So the mini charms. So these are my kids' favorites. These little bite-sized mini charms.
They're like charm packs.
They're like charm packs, but mini. And so they're 2.5 inches. And so let's see here. Read your labels. So mine says 42, 42, 42. What does yours say?
Mine has 2.5-inch squares. 2.5-inch squares. This one is 42. This is 100.
Yes. So this is fun.
So the Mega
Crystal,
Ultra
I'm going to
Deluxe
talk about that
Super
point in a minute. So this is something fun that Andover did. And so this is actually all 100 of their solid basics in a single jelly roll. If you guys can find these are like bonkers valuable. I love these. They gave these away to us. This is a great way to make a rainbow quilt, to make a color gradient. This is also a fantastic thing to have if you're a solids lover and you need to be able to color match a solid to a project. You can take these out. You can put this on cardstock. You can put this on a mural, and you can color match this to the project you're using. I know a lot of people like to get color cards for that type of project. If you're in a color card category, this is a fantastic way to actually get a sample of the fabric because not all color cards match the actual fabric that are used. And so this is a fantastic cheater way.
Because that's actually fabric.
Because this is actually fabric, people. This is actually fabric.
It does help.
Now, Crystal's talking about these pinked edges. And so one of the things, I think I can probably show you on the back of this, the cardstock, because when these are printed, or excuse me, when these are cut, they're actually all laid on cardstock and then the machine actually the machine like top presses down and cuts it. And so this, the cardstock receives the same pinked edges. And so I cannot even begin to tell you how many times I've searched the internet for how to sew with pinked edges. And so do you sew to the peaks, do you sew to the valleys, or do you sew to the middle when you're measuring your 1/4 inch? I've stumped the child.
Valley.
He is speechless.
Or no, I think
yes.
in the middle because you don't want it to like.
So my approach when I have sewn with the pink edges is just be consistent.
Or maybe you have to use all your skill to perfectly line it up.
No, you're definitely not doing that. And so for me, the pink is just be consistent. Are you going to sew to the edge? You're going to sew to the valley. You're going to sew to the middle. So Crystal's asking why they do that. And so Michelle shows to the valley. I would say as long as you're consistent, you're good. Gail's sewing to the valley.
Yeah,
so why they do that? And so Crystal, I can tell you exactly why they do that. And so they do that, which is exactly why we struggle on our die cutters with straight edges, is because if you don't line your die up with the grain of the fabric, with the weave of the fabric, you're going to get pulled edges. And so by pinking it, they don't have stray threads that are getting caught in their die. They're not having the problems that we do by pinking those edges. And so it makes their manufacturing process easier. It's not a straight edge. Straight edges are very hard with stray threads. It's going to fray, it's going to frazzle. And so that's why it's pinked. But I think, let's see here. Gianna also has a fantastic tip to make sure you measure your pre-cut. These are not all made on the same machine, just like they're not all going to be sewn on the same machine. So definitely measure your pre-cuts. And I would say I've seen a lot of things online from people that have purchased pre-cuts from a non-quilt shop, and they'll get partial parts and pieces, or their 2.5 strips aren't full with the fabric, or they're not 2.5.
That's not great.
I know. If they've been manually cut, if they've been manually cut with a rotary cutter, it is going to be very difficult to keep that consistent. All right. Those are kind of the big pre-cuts. Now what I want to get into, we've talked about the mini charms. Those, I use mini charms for EPP. My kids learned to sew using mini charms, right? Again, these things are the lowest price point of all of what we're like.
Paper.
You did use paper, but one of their first projects.
Our first fabric.
Yeah. So one of the things with this is it's a great way to get kids who might be picky or finicky about color, and it gives them a variety of colors. They can pick and choose in this. They can sew the squares together. Sewing squares is one of the easiest skills to teach. And before you know it, they'll have a little quilt. I think Lincoln made one, and he made like a baby quilt that he's given away to someone who had a baby doll. And so this is a good kind of quick, fun project if you want to use the mini charms. All right. So now let's talk about, these are what comes mostly from manufacturers, right? They're coming from big companies. Let's talk about what a quilt shop makes in the category of pre-cuts. And so we'll see.
Fat quarters.
Yes. So when you walk into a quilt shop, you're going to see a lot more than this. You're going to see bundles that they have put together or bundles that they have bought from manufacturers. And so the most common is a fat quarter bundle. And so again, this is the same thing. This is the same thing. This is going to give you all of the prints in a single collection in a bundle. And you have to read your labels.
50 of the, oh no, that's 50 years.
And so these are all variable because all the collections that are released can have 20 prints, they can have 40 prints. And so this one has
does not say.
It does not actually tell you how much gets in here. Right, so he's going to count them for us. I would count from this side where the fold is, or count from the fold side. You'll be fine. So fat quarter bundles are variable. So when you're in the quilt shop, if you want to make sure you're getting a good value for your fat quarter bundle, you got to do a little math. You got to take the total quantity divided by the price and make sure that it's a good fat quarter price for you.
There's no consistent folds. Oh wait, I got it.
Okay, he's got it. So he's going to count it. So this is what a Moda fat quarter bundle would look like. And then this one here is a cute little bundle from Tilda. So it's a Tilda bundle. It's a fat quarter bundle. So you notice it's a little different, right? Once we get into fat quarters, once we get into fat eighths, once we get into half yards, the folds are going to all be different for the manufacturer. And you should not make any assumptions as to what's actually in the bundle, because the next thing I'm going to show you, visually deceiving. But this is a fat quarter bundle. This is a good way to get a good rainbow assortment. I think my first fat quarter bundles I purchased were Robert Kaufman's. They're solids because I wanted a range of solids for a project I was working on. This is a good way to get a good range of colors and a good size. This one, let me see what the label tells us. It has 15 fat quarters. 15 is such an odd number. Some of these collections, I swear, Dominic, 15 fat quarters. I can't think of a single project that I've looked at that said 15 fat quarters, but here's a 15 fat quarters. Now, what I'm going to show you is Dominic and I went to Crimson Tate in Indianapolis. Crimson Tate is a fantastic, lovely, modern quilt shop in downtown Indianapolis. And we found these two lovelies. We did this a couple of years ago. We found these lovelies. Yeah. And so when I show you these bundles, these are clearly bundles that are curated by the store. They're cut together. They have the Crimson Tate logo on them. They have the Crimson Tate ribbon on them. We're going to take a guess. I'm going to hold these up for a second. What do you think this is? And what do you think this is? And so we're going to give them just a minute to be like, what is bundle 1 and what is bundle 2? Yes. How many are in there?
30.
30. Okay, so this one has 30. The other one had 15.
Not all the folds are on the same side. So
bundle
I have to keep
A.
switching.
What cuts do we think bundle A are, and what cuts do we think bundle B are? Let's give them a half a second. We're gonna skip ahead to give you guys a chance to answer that. This is also a fat quarter bundle, guys. And this is just bonkers to me that this is how this is packaged. But again, this was sitting right next to a half yard bundle and they looked the same because they're just being tied and ribboned to cardboard. Let's see here. What's it? You need this one? Oh, Paula is okay, so Dominic has a job. Paula wants this. You need to protect it with your life and make sure it gets into the car. So Erin is saying bundle A is fat eighth and bundle B is fat quarter. Fat quarter's folded differently. Both fat quarters, fat eighth and fat quarter. Ray is saying she loves the Pokemon fabric. Clearly that was Dominic's. Dominic picked that one out. Okay, so let me tell you. This first bundle here. So this is, we're going to read the label. So this one is fat eighths by Charlie Harper. Charlie Harper fabric is, since it's organic, is typically thinner. This is a fat eighth bundle of Charlie Harper fabric. Now this fabric, this is half yards. Guys, this is a half yard bundle of fabric. Yet on the shelf, they look the same. Had I not looked at the label, it would have been like, I was thinking, just like you guys, this is a fat quarter. I think this is a fat eighth. I can kind of piece that together.
That's a half yard.
This is a half yard of fabric right here.
That is a lot.
It's a half yard, right? So you guys need to definitely make sure, and it's a Pokemon, like Pikachu, like this is, Dominic picked this one out, and I picked this one out. This is the way we shop, right? He picks out fabric for him. I pick out fabric for me. Okay. Challenge.
Name 10 Pokemon.
I can't do that. Pikachu.
Okay, it's fine.
Charizard.
2.
People help me out. Come on now. Start putting out some, I don't know. That's all I got.
Okay.
I mean, I know you played on my car, and I know you defeat them at regular intervals, but I don't know. This is what my kids are into. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pokemon was popular when I was a kid, and then it came back. Okay. So that's, what's that? Bulbasaur. Okay, Bulbasaur. Jigglypuff, Squirtle, Bulbasaur. Oh, we already said Bulbasaur. Ninetales.
6.
Come on, you guys. We can get to 10.
Oh, wait,
my gosh. Squirtle and an Eevee. Okay.
Wait, no, Squirtle's already said Eevee.
Squirtle, Eevee.
7. We're up to 7. We need 3 more. We need 3 more.
There's a little bit of a lag when we do this, right? There's like a 20-second lag, so they'll get it. Rapidash.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Tishua is quite the Pokemon expert. I am impressed. Okay, do we got it?
Okay, that's 9, 10. We got 10.
Mewtwo!
Yay!
And then of course, so like my kids have taught me that like Pokemon evolve and then they get new names and there's 3 phases of, again, I have no capacity to manage any of this. And I feel like everyone that's scrap dashing is like talking about this and they all have Pokemon names. Tishua has boys. I have boys too, Tishua.
Mm-hmm.
I did not retain this. It's on me. Okay. So then when you get to the quilt shops, right? So these are the types of common kind of fat quarters, fat eighths. But then there's shops like Cotton Cuts, and we've seen the things we're doing. We've seen places have seen what we do. And so can you hand me this first one here? And so they'll come up with their own products, and they'll come up with their own names for a product. So we call this our Calliope. This is something that I saw and I loved, and I wanted to make sure that we could do it. We call it Calliope. We're the only ones that call it Calliope. If Moda can brand Jelly Roll and all that stuff, we're branding Calliope as a brand for this.
We're in New Orleans. Wasn't there a street called like Calliope? It was spelled exactly.
Calliope.
It's spelled the exact same, but people called it Calliope.
Inspired. It's New Orleans inspired, so Calliope. And so what we do with this is we put together 5 different prints, and we give you a 6.5 inch width, and we give you 2 pieces each. And on the back, we have a label that tells you exactly everything that's inside of it, because you have to read the labels when you get to this. So you can walk into a quilt shop and you can be like, this is awesome, this is great, I love this fabric. But unless you read the back, you don't know how many you get of each print and what the length is. Is it with the fabric? Is it cut shorter than with the fabric? All of those questions. Always check the labels whenever. Now, mind you, this is cute. We curated this.
Yeah.
We think it's going to make a beautiful quilt for you, but make sure that you're checking those labels, because if this is not with the fabric and you're estimating it to be a with the fabric piece, you're going to get in a ditch real fast. All right. Then there's also a lot of fabric stores, and we've seen this recently, that are putting together like pre-cut binding. And so they're ultimately taking a 2.5 inch strip of fabric, and they're giving you 4 or 5 strips so you can grab it and have binding.
Yeah.
So, right. So if you don't want to shop for a binding fabric, you don't want to cut it yourself, you can get a pre-cut binding. I think that's fantastic. I'm also seeing a lot about, Ray has heard that a 6.5 inch strip is called a Vegas strip. A Vegas strip. Okay. We'll have to look that up. I think so. Again, this is where like
Don't search up Vegas
because
strip. That's no, you don't want that. You don't want
I
that.
feel like you don't want Vegas strip in
You
your
shouldn't
search
search
history.
up Vegas strip.
You should not search up Vegas strip. That is probably going to get blocked for you with your parental permission.
That's not
Yeah,
great.
don't search.
Yeah. Don't search up Vegas strip.
Janet, this is the best reality television you're gonna get. Don't search up Vegas Strip.
Mhm.
Okay, so there are some binding kits that are being made now. When we talk about a quilt kit, and so I want to talk about this for Melissa Fieldhouse loves it. I want to talk about this for half a second. Is that whenever you go into a quilt shop and they have a quilt kit, right? They have a quilt on display, you love it, and then they've got the kit right there, and they've got the pattern and they've got all the fabric. They'll call it pre-cut. And so this is where, as a consumer, you need a little bit more education about what pre-cut is and what it means. And so at its most general sense, if you see a pre-cut kit, it has been cut into like a 1/4 yard, an 1/8 of a yard, a 1/16 of a yard, 3/4 of a yard. It has been cut to what the pattern says you need for yardage to complete the kit. See, Gianna.
It is.
So it has been cut to the pattern specifications. So when it says pre-cut, most times it just means it's giving you what the pattern says you need on the back. So you don't have to go buy a yard of this. You don't have to and then cut it down to 3/8.
Yard.
Right? It's already cut to what the pattern tells you, but it is not cut to the shapes that you need to sew. So you still have some measure of cutting that you have to do in those kits.
Yeah.
Now what we're seeing more frequently is we're seeing a lot more like really pre-cut. And so what I want to talk about, like everything we do at Cotton Cuts is pre-cut. And in our definition, that means it's been die cut. And so hand me this other one here. And so most of you guys know this. You guys have seen it in so many of our projects. But in order for it to be a pre-cut, it is cut into the triangles, the squares, the strips. It's cut into everything you need so you can sit and sew. So when you see the pre-cut, and I got a fantastic stitch it here, it means we're actually cutting all these triangle strips and squares. So make sure that you're not just clicking on a pre-cut kit that is just this with the fabric pieces. If you're expecting that, then by all means, that is awesome. But when you're going, and I've seen a lot of shops where they have some kits like ours that are fully pre-cut and some kits that are off the yardage, and it gets confusing as to what you're buying. Make sure that you're not sad and disappointed when that fabric and that project arrives, that you're actually getting what you're looking for.
See, don't be sad.
Don't be sad. Is that your sad face? That's a really sad face. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. All right. And so, we're seeing a lot more of these like die cut and then also do a little bit of research as well as you're looking into a company that has a pre-cut project, because like we said, a lot of these are rotary cuts. So make sure if you're okay with that and you're okay with a little variation that might come from rotary cutting, because to be clear, if I'm rotary cutting, I'm not perfect. If my team's rotary cutting, they're not perfect. So if you're expecting it to be
Nobody is perfect.
Die cut versus rotary cut in the pre-cut category, make sure you're checking that out as well, because as we've seen from a large number of larger retailers, jelly rolls are not the same, right? There's going to be variability in there. And then in the final category of pre-cut is a laser cut kit. And so this is something I see, this is usually more smaller batch when it comes to laser cut. And it's also more commonly done with applique, because in a laser cut, you can cut those funky curves and those pieces that it's hard to die cut. And it's also going to be nearly impossible to rotary cut. So a laser cut is going to do all those fun applique shapes. A laser cut can also be used to make really, really teeny, tiny laser cut. Go ahead. Little bitty. Now, they are usually done in smaller batches because the laser is typically more expensive to run. You can't cut as many layers as you can on a die cutter. And they're, like I said, they're usually kind of smaller bits and parts and pieces, or they're complex applique that has an adhesive already attached to the back of it. Now, when we talk about laser cuts, if you receive a triangle, if I get this hexagon and I don't know how it's cut, laser cut pieces traditionally have had a light brown edge around the side, because what does a laser do?
Heats it up.
It heats it up. A laser cuts by burning. And so, yes, it cuts by burning, right? Because the sun is a deadly laner, it heats by burning. Laser.
It's not a laner.
Laser. The sun is a deadly laser. And so when you find fabric, you can usually tell pretty quickly if it's been laser cut, because that has a little bit of heat and singed on the edges. Now, Most times you're not going to see that because it's going to get sucked up into your seam allowance and it's not going to matter to you. But when you get those kits, you can tell that they've been laser cut because it has that little bit. And as Melissa says, the smell of burning fabric, depending on how quickly it was packaged after it was laser cut, you can open that package and there's definitely some smoke coming out at you.
It's you did burning fabric.
Oh, Crystal raises a great point. So when you're buying a quilt kit from a shop and it's cut to like the yardage on the pattern, so it's got the 1/4 yard, 3/4 yard, etc., I would not suggest, as she says here, to cut it on a die cutter, because that's meant to be rotary cut. It's meant to be efficiently cut. It's meant to like use every single fractional inch. And when you're die cutting, there is amount of waste that happens to it. And so it's not optimized for a die cutter. It's optimized for manually cutting. Okay, let's see here. All right, our last thing we wanted to talk about was storage and organization tips. And so clearly, like when you're buying this, it's not a yard of fabric that you can fold up in a different way and put into like this nice, beautiful rainbow catalog or stash on the shelf. So when it comes to stashing and organizing these, I will share what I traditionally do. And that's that I sort by type of pre-cut. So I sort it by as we've gone through this. So I've got, if I had jelly rolls, or if I had, layer cakes, I would have layer cakes. I would have jelly rolls. I would have my charm packs together. So this morning when I was pulling the charm packs, I literally just went to the case where I keep them all and just pulled out a few. The mini charms, same way, I keep all those stacked together. Now, I think it's prettier to do this on a shelf than this on a shelf. So I definitely try to have it so the color is facing out when I'm organizing them, but I'm on a shelf. All of the like cuts are together. All of my fat quarter bundles are together, so that way I know these are fat quarters. All my half yard bundles. Quarters. I know. I got the. I'm
gather.
I'm gathering. We're gathering. So we gather all the like things together. And then I think the question
library.
All right. And then that way it makes it easy. If I have a pattern and I need to get to a specific pre-cut, I can match the pre-cut. But then also know that if I have a layer cake, it can also be used in a charm pack pattern. You gotta gather them all into the smallest space possible, because of course you gotta catch them all. Wow, Pokemon show. This show is brought to you by Pokemon.
Full circle.
Cow. All right. So if you guys have storage and organization tips for your pre-cuts, definitely please put them in. As some people said, there's a lot of joy in unrolling that jelly roll, but then it's real darn hard to roll it back yourself. And so I'd be interested, like, do you do something outside of the traditional packaging it comes in? Do you unpackage it, and do you lay your rolls flat?
If you unroll it, there is no re-rolling it.
There's no going back. Let's see here.
It's a permanent.
Yeah, clear bins. Melissa Feldhaus uses clear bins. I have open shelves. I'm a big fan of kind of like seeing all of them versus the clear bins, but a clear bin with a label and letting you know what's inside of it is a fantastic, useful tool as well. You can also sort them by color. I think that's an advanced skill. I like to sort by shape, but if perhaps you're like, hey, I bought a charm square and I brought a jelly roll in their same collection, you can definitely put those together. I think it's easier to shop when I got a pattern that asks for a specific pre-cut to have them sorted by pre-cuts. And Erin uses her 12 by 12 paper storage boxes. Those are fantastic. They are so useful. You can keep everything together in one place. Please keep sharing those tips, and people that check the comments afterwards will be able to enjoy all your insights and shares. Did we do everything?
Your words of wisdom.
The words of wisdom. Did we catch everything?
We gathered it.
We gathered it all. We gathered it all. Okay, so with that, go ahead and we're going to do our giveaway for the $25 gift certificate to our shop. So find this video wherever you've seen us, on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Instagram. Thanks so much for hanging with us to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Thank you. Answer this question, and you'll be entered to win that gift certificate. So if you could only sew with one pre-cut for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? If you could sew with one pre-cut for the rest of your life, what would it be? Why the jelly roll, Dominic?
Because it was close to me.
Because it was close to me. Paul is telling you you're supposed to say the Cotton Cuts die cut.
I mean, Cotton Cuts die.
Yes, he means Cotton Cuts die cut.
Because I'm in a building with them.
Because you have access to them. I think for me, so I mean, obviously I like the Cotton Cuts die cuts. Anytime we've had a show or I've done a challenge where I have to cut fabric, it's like kind of going back and learning how to rewrite a bike, because I haven't had to cut. So I do appreciate the complete cuts. But I do of all these, I love the charm packs. I think that's the one that is the easiest. It is that comfortable, you know, warm baked bread and a blanket on a cozy day.
Brownie,
right?
not bread.
Brownie. It is warm baked brownie on that day, right?
Winter day.
Half yard bundles definitely count, Erin. You can definitely say those things. Okay. And that's it for us. Holy cow. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. We had a ton of fun. Rock, paper, scissoring and gathering.
Rock, paper, scissors.
And we gathered. Okay. All right. You guys have a fantastic weekend sewing. I hope you guys are staying cool wherever you are. It is hot and steamy here in St. Louis. I think the heat's going to break for us next week. You will see Dominic and I next week. We will have a new fantastic show. And please, 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 July 1st, 7 a.m., set those calendars. I know you're going to be sad if you miss it, and I will feel really, really, really bad. But please, please, please set those alarms and make sure that you get in on your mystery
set your
5-0.
alarms.
All right. Anything else? That's it for us. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Bye now. Bye. And cut. Thank you so much for watching our video. We have so much fun making these, and we hope that you were both delighted and inspired by what you just watched. This video was sponsored by Cotton Cuts. Cotton Cuts is your one stop for all the best fabric and thread memberships. Love fabric? We've got you covered. Love thread? We've got you covered. We get that no two quilters are cut from the same cloth, which is why our memberships are as unique as you. We also have the largest block of the month in the world. Over 4,000 detectives solve our puzzle mystery quilts every year, and you can join them. Simply go to cottoncuts.com to learn more about all the awesome and fun things that we're doing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to make sure you get all of our new fresh content every time it comes out. Thank you so much. Happy sewing enthusiasts, and we will see you soon. Bye now.